So yesterday we got our first look at the Michael Jackson movie, the upcoming biopic movie on Michael Jackson, which is to be released April of 2026. We got our first look at a trailer for this film. I did a trailer reaction video for that. You can go back and watch that if you want to see my reaction to the actual trailer and what I said in that thing. Now, got a lot of comments and I see a lot of chatter online. I see a lot of people talking about this trailer. And some of the things, one of the things that stood out, it's something I actually mentioned in my video, was the prosthetic or the makeup they used to do Jafar Jackson's nose. Jafar Jackson is playing his uncle Michael, that's Jermaine's son. He's playing the lead role of Michael. And the nose in one of the scenes to me just looked too big. I'm aware of the fact. I had people clap back at me like, "Oh, if you knew Michael Jackson, you'd know his nose before the surgery." I'm like, yeah, I know Michael Jackson. I'm not to date myself, but I was around long before a lot of people making these comments. Like I was a Michael Jackson fan before these people were even born. So with that out of the way, yes, I recognize that his nose was wider. It was his real, beautiful African-American black male nose that he had before he decided to, grind it all down. Okay, for whatever reason he has. I'm not even getting into that. But I just thought that in the shot or the way they did it, it was a little too much. It just wasn't quite right. It looked a little off. Anyway, it's not even relevant, right? That's not what this video is about. This video is about a lot of the stuff I'm seeing online with people. And again, not to make light of the other generations, but I'm Gen X. And we have a totally different thing when it comes to Michael Jackson. We watched him go through multiple generations and multiple time frame, decades of his life and different changes during his musical career. So yeah, we are qualified, or we have equal amount of stake in this movie as the younger generation people who I see a lot of comments about this movie coming up, and the people are jumping on it. And if you say anything negative, it's sort of like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, Michael, the greatest ever. This is going to be fantastic. And who better than Jafar to play the role? This is going to be this. I'm crying." The comments I'm hearing are great. Now, here's the thing. I guess it's their emotional comment, right? Like people want to see Michael Jackson. They want to see this movie. It's the most anticipated movie or biopic in a long time, And then there's people like me. There's, again, the Gen Xers, the people who grew up with Michael Jackson. Like I used to watch ABC. I used to watch the Jackson 5, the actual television show. I was there for Off the Wall. I was there for Thriller. Like I had every Michael Jackson jacket and even had a jerry curl and tried to work diligently to get that curl in the front to come down on my forehead. I had a glove before they sold gloves. I made a glove for my hand. Like, so you're talking to a huge Michael Jackson fan. I was the first one to moonwalk in Hampton Bays Junior Senior High School way out east on Long Island, New York. All right. So I'm that dude when it comes to Michael Jackson. I have an emotional thing in this as well. I cried when the man died. It was just a part of my childhood, a part of my life. When I heard of his death, I was devastated. So I have all that. But at the same point, being a film guy, a guy who's into film reviews and a guy who's into, talking about movies and such, which is what this channel is. If you've joined me here, I appreciate you being here. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. That's what I do. I talk movies. I'm also looking at it from the aspect of I hate to see them. I would hate to see them screw this up, right? I know how biopics work. I know what goes into them, and I've seen good ones and I've seen bad ones. Most notably recent bad ones in the last few years were the Bob Marley one, which was just terrible. And as far as I'm concerned, they did not capture this man's life the way I thought they should have. It should have been a much broader telling of his story and the man himself. In other words, somebody who knew nothing about this man should have been able to go into that film and felt like they came out with a whole new understanding of the intricacies of this man's life and what he meant for music, for his country, for our country, for the rest of the world, how he came about, a lot of things, the politics behind it, his messaging, his impact, his legacy. I feel like that was just left somewhere on the cutting room floor and never made it to the film. The Whitney Houston biopic, absolute trash, garbage. Not only was the performance by whatever her name was who played the lead role, she just didn't fit the role, right? So she never melted into the role in such a way where it was believable or mildly even enough to make me feel like I was looking at Whitney Houston. So that was a terrible biopic. I could probably name others, but in contrast, the really good biopics are the ones where the actor, whether they look like the actual person they're playing or they don't look like the person, they they melt into the role so well. They capture the essence of the person that you are lost. You are going into that theater, you're sitting back and looking at the screen, and you are just mesmerized, and you feel like you're watching that person. Perfect examples: Malcolm X, Spike Lee, 1991. Denzel Washington plays the lead role, Malcolm X. And it was phenomenal. It was not that Denzel Washington looked anything like what Malcolm X looked like. Malcolm X was red bones, high yellow brother, you know what I mean? Totally different than Denzel Washington, dark skinned, different looking brother. However, when you saw the movie, none of that mattered. None of that mattered. You felt Malcolm X, the way he spoke, the cadence, he captured the rhythm of Malcolm, the way he spoke, the movement, his shoulder, his swag, like everything about Malcolm was caught by Denzel Washington. And that's what made that and Spike Lee's direction, one of my favorite, probably my favorite Spike Lee movie, the one where I give him the most props and most credit for being able to cover such material, especially 3 decades of that man's life. And the way he did it was brilliant. So the script, the actual directing of the film, and then Denzel Washington's performance made for a great movie. Now, we can say the same thing when it comes to Ray. Jamie Foxx playing Ray and Taylor Hackford's Ray. Jamie Foxx just went deep in on that role. And when you're watching that, you're like, he won an Oscar for it, for God's sakes, and a Golden Globe. So like, let's keep it real. Does it get better than that? When you watch that film, you felt like, man, I'm watching, like, this is crazy, right? It's not just mockery. It's not just, wow, Jamie actually looked like him as a comedian. He's good at, playing those little things and getting all the Ray isms and stuff. It's not just that. It was not just that Jamie looked like him with whatever little bit of makeup and how they did it. It was everything that made it believable. That's what made it such a great biopic. We could say the same thing with Tina Turner with What's Love Got to Do with It. She looked nothing like the real Tina Turner, but she gave herself to that role in such a way where you felt Tina Turner's, incredible strength and personality, and you felt her passion as a performer. So you got that. Now, you also look at, I mentioned this when I did the trailer reaction yesterday, you look at Jim Morrison, lead singer for The Doors. This is, I think, 92, I want to say, 93, The Doors movie done by Oliver Stone. Brilliantly done. It's one of my reference go-to biopic films when it comes to doing a real picture about, not holding back and actually telling the truth of a band. And Val Kilmer, the late, great Val Kilmer, played that lead role, but he played it to such a degree that it was, you're not distracted by anything. So with all of that said, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because the situation with Jafar Jackson having little to zero acting experience, looking like his uncle, sounding like his uncle, yeah, that's fine. But what I want everyone to understand, the people that are clapping back or feel like, somehow I'm misjudging or misanalyzing or, I should be way more optimistic. Okay. And perhaps I should, we'll get to that in a second. But what I want you to understand is this is going to require way more than just mockery. This requires more than just Jafar sounding like his uncle or looking close enough to his uncle or looking just like his uncle and Antoine Fuqua, detail for detail, shot for shot, paying attention to the nuance of the socks and the outfits and the stadiums and the different things they have to recreate to make this film. It requires more than that. Really good biopic, the really good telling of this story is not going to be just a guy dressed up like Michael Jackson who looks and sounds like Michael Jackson and can do dance moves like Michael Jackson. It's going to require an actor who can make you feel like, wow, it's like watching Michael Jackson in an interview. It's like watching Michael Jackson on screen. Like I can feel this. It's not just mockery. This is what I'm trying to get people to understand. So forgive me if I'm not as optimistic and enthused, but I think that comes from a place not of hating. It comes from a place of passion and love for the subject matter. It comes from the idea of, I've seen these films get destroyed. I'm a huge Bob Marley fan. I love Bob Marley. I don't think anyone can say they don't like Bob Marley. It's like impossible. He's one of the most beloved figures of all time in music. And that man was pure love. And to see that film disturbed me. It just made me sick. It actually got me upset. So with Michael being so near and dear to my heart and my childhood and my life, I'm wanting this picture to be fantastic. I just know what it's going to take to make a truly worthwhile picture that is fitting for the king. That's how I see it, right? If you're going into it just with, oh, it's going to be great, you should want to feel like this is going to be a fantastic film because you're really putting the right work into it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will be. Maybe it'll be absolutely, mind-blowing, Oscar-worthy. Jafar will get a nomination in first time acting, and he'll win the Oscar, and Anton Fuqua will win Best Director. Maybe it goes down in history as one of the greatest biopics of all time. Maybe it does. I'm just here to pump the brakes a little bit and say, look, keep in mind, it's not just about imitating his uncle. That's not what this film, that's not going to make for a great film. If you're in it just for, my mother, when it comes to the Bob Marley thing, I'll give you an example. My mother loved Bob Marley's music. So for her, going to the movie, she didn't care about the script. She didn't care about what they did to destroy this man's legacy when it came to the actual film and how they didn't do such a great job with it, right? She didn't really care about that. She just liked hearing the songs played out and seeing the concert footage. If you're one of those people who's just looking for a Michael Jackson impersonator, you can go scroll through Instagram and TikTok and you're going to find tons of them that are really good and 1,000 times better than Jafar. Especially when they do the makeup and the whole thing and they really make themselves look like Michael. You got white guys playing Michael Jackson, but you can't even tell. They do such a great job with the makeup and they're so freaking good. There's this one French guy, brother, who does, he's constantly dancing in the street and he is like on Michael's level. Like, it's crazy. So if you're just looking for imitations of Michael Jackson, you can find plenty of that. But we're going to need more than an imitation of Michael to make this film truly worthy of the king. And that is why you hear me rail about this. And that is why you hear me talk about this in a way where I expect this movie to truly be good. Otherwise, I'll be upset and it'll be an insult against Michael. That's it. That's my rant on Michael. I just want people to hear that. It's not about hating. I want it to be good. I hope it is. I just hope you guys understand what it takes to make a truly good, worthy biopic. All right? Comment below what you think of the trailer. Comment below if you think I'm way out of line and what you saw so far from the trailer is going to inspire hope and you think it's going to be a perfect movie. Let me know down in the comments below. Let me know if you understand what I'm saying when it comes to what is going to be required of this kid to make this movie really worthwhile. And that's also, I didn't even mention the supporting cast, their performances. I didn't mention anything about the script and how well it's going to be written, what they're going to cover, what they're not going to cover. I feel like we're already going to get a sanitized version of Michael's life. It's not going to be this drama that's really, they're going to touch on certain things that they can't totally avoid, but it's not going to be a gritty, real, really good, intense biopic of this man's life, which is unfortunate. But anyway, let me know in the comments below. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite biopic is. And if you've seen The Doors and you've seen Ray and you've seen Malcolm, you've seen Bohemian Rhapsody and Rami Malek's performance when it came to Freddie Mercury. Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you to the people who watch my videos, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.